the trade period has finished. We will now do a recap of all the teams and how they fared. And I suppose we begin with the reigning premiers, whose list is the envy of all other teams in the competition. They've got so much young talent. They didn't want for much, but yet they were still able to bring in some established stars.
Well, they're in seat 1A, aren't they, going into 2026? They want for nothing. They've bought in, Oscar Allen and Draper as well. They're going to get another, top 5 draft pick potentially with the academy picks. And they're in the box seat. So, I mean, it's only going to be motivation or injuries that are going to really slow them down next year with what they've got going. So, yeah, they didn't need to do much.
No, they didn't need to do anything, did they? They are the envy of the competition. There's no doubt about that. You look at those guys that have played 50 to 80 games. And that's where the real growth comes from. Now they're establishing themselves, getting confidence in their body, confidence in what they can do game day. Fletcher, both Ashcrofts, Wilmot, Morris. McCluggey's only 28. Rayner's only 26. Lockie Neal's only 32. He's going to play for another 4 or 5 years. So they've got an unbelievable window in front of them, and they're great to watch. So their style actually backs up what their talent are able to do, particularly forward of the ball, Joey. So it's exciting if you're a Brisbane fan.
And players coming back from injury. Yeah. I mean, Kadeen Coleman, Payne, Ainsworth, they really rate as that lockdown defender. So they do lose Starcevic, who will be a big out. He was a beauty. I mean, his ability to shut down the best sort of medium, small forwards in the competition will be missed. But they've got enough depth there to be able to cover that and absolutely still be a contender next season.
They don't always get them right, the free agency acquisitions. They brought in Tom Duday, who has played, I think, 1 game in a couple of years, had another ACL. So that's the only caveat there with Oscar Allen and Draper coming in. Essendon never offered a great deal for Draper because they believe that the history of players, and indeed Ruckman off an Achilles tear, means they never really get their jump back. And, of course, we're about to get in the next couple of weeks rules which mean that the jumpers are back in the competition rather than the crash and bash Ruckman. So that's the only little asterisk there as well. And Archie played 26 games in each of those last 2 seasons. So losing him and Starcevic, hugely consistent players, but as you say, even if they don't get great results out of Draper and Allen, they're flying.
What do you expect from Oscar Allen next year, first year up for Brisbane?
I don't have high expectations. If he kicks 30, 40 goals and supports Logan Morris to not have to carry the load at still such a young age, even though he is a star, I think he's just going to complement the forward line. We know they've got 6 guys who can kick goals. Rayner, Lohman, they can all bob up and hit the scoreboard. So I think he's just going to be a part of that forward line mix. Gallup might get more opportunity. Interesting to see whether Hipwood is still in their best team next year. I think it's no certainty. Do they maybe try something different with him? But if Oscar Allen is fit and playing somewhere near the footy we saw a few years ago, then he's certainly in that forward line ahead of Hipwood.
What a luxury for the Brisbane Lions to be able to bring in another club captain, some more leadership, and their list is in tip-top shape. What about the team that they beat in the grand final, Geelong, and what they've been able to look at during this trade period? Obviously, Rowan Marshall was one that they've missed out on.
Yeah, they have. And I guess that we're looking at Geelong saying, OK, when will they tip over? How can they keep doing this? They've really only had 5 top 30 picks in the last 5 years.
What did we get in exchange for giving them bucks?
That's a good question.
See that little Fox Footy there?
Yes,
what do we get?
Very good.
It's a job share arrangement. You don't get any picks for a job share.
Ralphie's been trying to get some extra cash. I know that. Look, Warple, I think it's a sneaky good improvement for their list. I think that it does allow, with his midfield time, Dangerfield to play more forward. We talked about the benefits of that at different stages last year. They'll just keep doing what they do. I mean, what a fantastic organisation they've been.
And I think they'll make it work in the ruck. I mean, Stanley and Blitzarves, yes, they're getting on in age, but between the two of them, they could probably share the load. Toby Conway got back late in the season. There's still a lot of high hopes on him. I know he's had injury troubles, but if he can have a full pre-season, between the three of those 3 guys, they might be able just to alternate, rotate, who knows, however Chris Scott does it in the ruck. And I don't think that not having Rowan Marshall keeps them out of contention from winning a premiership next year. I still think they're good enough.
Same situation, I think, for them as well as Hawthorn. Connor O'Sullivan and Shannon Neal, one of those turned into Charlie Curnow. So it's a club that does things in terms of the long-term future. You get Charlie Curnow into that side and maybe you win one while Dangerfield's available. Maybe you prolong your window if you keep O'Sullivan and Shannon Neal. And, of course, O'Sullivan's a heck of a player. But they're all not recriminations, they're all the things that the thought bubbles that our good mate Nathan Buckley and Chris Scott will be considering over the next 24 hours.
Getting this year again from Bailey Smith is probably the biggest challenge. What a sensational season that he had. I think he was equal AFL Coaches Association Player of the Year. Second, their best and fairest behind Max Holmes. Can he repeat what he did in 2025 going forward. And Nathan Buckley will take over that midfield. But it'll be a different look. It'll be exciting to see what philosophies he brings to that midfield and how different it looks.
And he had a horror of a postseason, didn't he? We understand those issues. Let's not re-prosecute them. But maybe that's the best thing that happens to Geelong. So rather than saying you had a great season, they can actually hone in on those issues and say, mate, you were going down the wrong path in a lot of ways. So maybe that's the way that they can really tug his coat and say, look, have the second best pre-season of your life after last year's great one, and then go again, become All-Australian, win the Brownlow that eluded you.
The Western Bulldogs. If you're a Doggies fan tonight, are you sitting there going, why have we not found a defensive player in this trade period? It is clear a long way out that that's what they require.
Yeah, look, I said a couple of weeks ago, about 6 weeks ago, I reckon, that Sam Power's biggest challenge was to give this coach a key defender that he could put that magnet on the board and with some sort of confidence drive to the game knowing that things will be okay. They haven't done that, and they'll be in the same position at the end of 2026 and the same position every year after, when the fact that they're not addressing this issue. I'm staggered by this. I can't believe that the Dogs have had to manufacture Rory Lobb, who was great first year down back, but not so much this season just past, that they haven't addressed this issue. I think it's a big fail for the Dogs.
So Buku's a nice third intercept defender. He can play forward as well. Is he any part of the solution now that the club's held him?
Well, he's been down there. We've seen Buku down there.
Yep.
And they've lost confidence in Buku. They've lost confidence in Buzzlinger. Jones is no longer there. But we've talked about this every week. They refuse to move a Norton down back. Do you have to change the way you want to play? I mean, that's just changing the coach's philosophy because you can't get a deal done to acquire some key talent.
Well, that's where I'm thinking maybe they have to, now if they don't have the personnel change, they're going to have to change the way they play to be able to stiffen up defensively. Otherwise, they're not going to continue to compete against the top 8 teams. But we'll leave it up to Bevo. I trust Luke Beveridge. I think he'll understand what was missing from them last year, and maybe it's going to be a game-style change rather than the personnel because, yeah, they weren't able to get it done.
Another club that's probably failed to address a glaringly obvious need is the Adelaide Crows and trying to land a midfielder, Kingy. We know the Calamachi deal with Brisbane, that's still got a little bit to play out. That didn't land in trade, but that midfield to have a bit of flair and something different, a bit of dynamic midfield presence.
Oh, they needed Oliver more than any other club for me, if they are to be a genuine contender. I mean, I don't know. Second half of the season, 16th in the AFL for clearance differential. When Rankin wasn't there, they looked pedestrian. They needed another option for that midfield, didn't take the risk when others around them have. That's the bottom line. GWS's gain is Adelaide's loss. I
even thought Jack Steele would have been a good fit, that big defensive mid that could tackle, allow Dawson, Rankin and those guys to do their thing. But, they weren't able. They were pretty strict on what they wanted to do and they haven't been able to land much at all.
And just again, to go back to that game's loss to your best or first pick 23 players of a weekend, they had a soft draw last year and a really healthy opportunity to win the flag, Joe. You can see there, the healthiest team in the competition in terms of who they lost and for how many weeks, 51 games in total. So, did we see the best version of them last year, and is that what we're going to see next year? Do they have the same run of luck, Sarah? So I'm just disappointed or can't really believe they haven't bolstered that midfield.
Yeah, they had a pretty good fixture, didn't they? It's going to be much more challenging next season.